Peace, 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 and revolutionary love. Me and this blank background, I can't wait till like my furniture pieces come in so I can decorate, put stuff on the wall. Cause I feel like I'm in prison. I'm like, I don't want them to think I'm in prison somewhere. And it's really bland in the back. But anywho, I couldn't wait. I want this camera to sit a certain way. I couldn't wait to get home to deliver this message. I swear. I just had, my damn time. I just had a good time at my job. I work for Play Cousins Collective. For those who live in Little Kentucky, I work for Play Cousins. I'm a parent advocate. And today for our parent cafe, we had a mayoral candidate, Shamika Parrish Wright, today as our guest speaker for today. And she was really speaking to, her life. You know what I'm saying? This parent cafe, we wanted to talk about powerful women who were resilient, you know what I'm saying? And so she came up to talk a little about herself and the things that she's been through and stuff. And I swear, like, she speaks to my soul. You know what I'm saying? Like, real, like, this is not a game. Like, she speaks to my soul. I don't want to be all over the place. So I just this week, and no wonder I've been emotional because I started my cycle. But outside of that, I've been crying like lately. I'm a crybaby anyways, but I've been crying lately, and it was all out of my imagination. When I allow my imagination to run and I see something so vivid and clearly, it brings me to tears because I'm just like, this is a powerful vision that I see and how it's going to go down. And, I just cry because it's just so profound. Because I can see it so clearly. They're not words that can always get out to express what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? I just see it, and I see it, and it's so real. You know what I'm saying? It just breaks me all the way down. And so I started Googling, and I was like, what does it mean when you're crying all the time? And you know what I'm saying? And I'm not giving specifics. Like, to your imagination, there's nothing that comes up for that. But every time you Google it, it's like you're crying because there's deep depression, or it's this. It was always the negative part. Like, no, where's the tears of joy stuff? Like, why do people cry tears of joy all the time? Because a lot of my cries are that because I'm spending so much time in my imagination, and it's so real to me. It's just, it'll if you can see what I see, it'll make you cry. And I like having imagination like that, to where the emotion is in it, because that's how I know that it'll come alive, because that's how powerful my imagination is. I've brought forth so many powerful things because I imagined so hard, and it was so real to me, so passionate, that I get my emotions into it, and then it happens, which is a very powerful thing. I'll do a video about that. Anyways, with that being said, phenomenal. Like, she had us in there crying. You know what I'm saying? She had everybody in there crying. And then I stopped to think to myself, because I was like, lately I've been crying through my imagination. But this time I'm not crying through my imagination. I'm crying through some of these relatable experiences that she's talking about. And so then I questioned and I asked myself, well, what is still there? You know what I'm saying? Because you're not in your imagination anymore. You're actually in your present reality. Well, you're being triggered by experiences you've had before that were relatable, and you're putting this emotion out. And so I asked myself, how much am I healed? Like, you'll go through different levels of healing. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff I've healed from, and then there's small things that I haven't. You know what I mean? And you take it day by day. Because it won't until it hits you or it triggers you. Then you're like, oh, okay, it's this part. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, there were so many things she hit on. I was just like, oh, wow. She was even talking about not being able to mourn her father properly after she left him, because it was one thing after another. And I could relate to that. I was like, yeah, I didn't mourn my daddy until 2 years after he died. You know what I'm saying? Because everything was happening fast. Even at my father's funeral, the family wasn't sitting in the way that I needed them to sit. I'm like, why ain't Mickey over and Teresa over? And oh, this looks right. Won't you come over here and sit over here? I'm trying to arrange tables. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do all this different stuff. Like, okay, he died. Moving on. I gotta make sure my family together. But then at the same time, my family was worried about me because I was going through the hardest time of my life. I lost everything messing with this crazy ass con artist. And so, you know, there were so many things that she was just talking about that just hit, you know. And I'm gonna say this too. There's casualties, those that are called, and then those that are chosen. I remember I got a spiritual download, and I texted Shamika. I forgot where I was at, and I was just like texting her back and back, and I was like, I hope I ain't bothering this woman. I said, I think you should run for mayor, and she was like, no. She was like, somebody she knew was thinking about running, and she was gonna support her, and all of that, yada yada. And I was like, you really should, and I had some other things that I said that I won't speak here, and she was like, oh, that's so sweet, thank you, but no thanks. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay. And but it was something that was just always on my mind. I told you about my imagination. And so I forget how things fell, but I know it was the Panthers who brought it to me, and they were like, Shamika's gonna win. And I swear to God, like that, because it was at a meeting, I think, and I was, excited and clapping and stuff. And then I remember later on that night, I was just crying. Here we go again with these tears. I am the biggest crybaby, and we're gonna talk about that too. I was just crying because you know what I'm saying, there was something that I shared with her, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna do it. And so when I talk about the casualties, the called and the chosen, she has now definitely put herself as a person that is chosen just by picking up the calling, right? Because again, there's many and many of people that are called out here, like that's maybe roughly 70%, you know what I'm saying, I would say, of the world. You know what I'm saying? There's a small number of casualties. You know, the only reason why it looks like a larger number because those called people refuse to walk into their chosen space, into their roles. You know what I mean? So I was so proud of that, and so just watching her this whole time, I'm just like, wow. And it's not just a wow factor. People who actually pick up their calling, they were casualties of war to begin with, and that's why a lot of us have war stories. We got some rough ass stories out here. I don't care what type of household structure you lived in, was raised in, and whatever, all this good shit you might have had in your life, you're gonna get met with war. You know what I'm saying? That's everybody. That's the kind of like the nature of living in the 3D world. You're gonna hit some stuff, right? But for those who, because see, the ones that are called the chosen ones, they knew they were gonna select themselves, right? They knew they were gonna pick up their calling, right? So rather, you knew that when you were a casualty, it was destined for it to be that way. So while you're a casualty, you'll have the worst experiences, okay? But the reason why you have those experiences, because now you become the expert, okay? So it doesn't matter what school you went to, what degree you had, no, none of that. Nothing is like having the expertise of life. And so my experiences weren't hers, but I could relate because I saw myself in each of those situations. Mine were just different. What I like about myself when I was a casualty of war was that there's nothing that nobody can talk about that I haven't been through except death, you know. But I was that close to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of people come to talk to me. I'm a good counselor, ear to listen, things like that. And I picked up my calling as far as spiritual healing and work and practices like that too as well, is because I can identify with a lot of stuff. And so today, like, even when she was talking, I got so emotional. Like, she was done talking, everybody's done spoke, and I got so choked up when I was trying to talk to her. I was like, I can't even get this out. Like, it was just block, tears, boom, because it's like, girl, like, damn it, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you can sit here amongst us, and it's not about crying, but because she's uncried her cries probably already. You're not busting a tear, but you here for every woman inside of this room. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, ask yourself, How many mayors have you had that are compassionate, relatable, and really love being among people? Not just black people, but particularly because she's black, but all people. That's where she like. So it was time for her to go. She done got her goodie bag. She didn't leave. What can I help clean up with? She over here watching the baby over here in the stroller because we over here trying to put this together. She was like, well, I couldn't leave her here because, you know, it's like, it's those things. And when we look at politicians nowadays, they try to dress this shit up. They want to have a nice suit on, tie, correct words, knowledge, try to hit you with the big words, talk about what they're gonna do, and you've never seen them do any community works. It's only when voting season comes, and that's why I said this last year at the Black Power State of the Union address. You know, the only time we see politicians is when it's election season. We see them in the church and we see them around, and then we don't see them other than that. There's not one judge, um, um, well, Metro Council is a little different, but even that, some Metro people that are running, other folks, this is my first time ever seeing you. Ever seen you. I've seen Kathleen Parks a billion times. You know what I'm saying? I've seen Richard Wright 1,000 times. I mean, Whitlock, I called him Richard Wright last year at the State of the Union address. You know what I'm saying? I've seen them 1,000 times. You know, but voting season is all these people. There's 11 people running for mayor. I've only seen one of you. One. In his real life, Shamika. I've never seen any of you. Any of them. Now, some people know Finley through church. Like, I'm not in a church, you know what I'm saying? I don't know preachers like that. You know what I'm saying? I hear of them. So, of course, well, if you are a supporter of Finley, you'll probably say, oh, yeah, he does community stuff because, you know, he's in church and you might see him do some stuff. But even still, I haven't. Out of all the candidates on the board, I've never seen any of them involved in community. White, black, Asian, or mixed. I've never seen them. You know, but you want to be the mayor? You know, that's weird to me. And then I think it's extra weird that, you know, they try to throw their money around like that makes a difference. And it doesn't. All that to say, there was some things that I had also addressed with her behind closed doors. And, you know, one of the things that got us all riled up, the women in the group, is that, you know, we all love sisterhood. That's why we have spaces like this. What woman don't love a woman? What woman don't have a girlfriend? You know, but we were speaking about how, you know, women, it's kind of like they be our enemies. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just experiences. And so, you know, I had mentioned, you know, all that bullying I went through when I grew up, it didn't come from dudes, it came from girls. You know what I'm saying? You know, my very first trust issues came from women. You know what I'm saying? It was just women. You know, when I was married, I had a really good friend always coming to my house. You know, and you know, I treat most women like I do my day ones, just because I'm used to doing that. And you know, I was gullible for a lot of that stuff. I've had men tell me how gullible I am with stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like you too trusting, you just too open. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm thinking everybody's gonna treat me not just how I treat myself, but how my day ones treat me. You know what I'm saying? And I had that mentality for a very, 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 very long time, and I've been burnt every time that I do that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, for the past, I would say maybe, how old is De Niro? Yeah, 4, because there was a last straw for me when it came to my girlfriends, and these were even my childhood friends. You know, I said I have to stop walking like this. I have to call energy out, call it how I see it, and if I mess with it, good. If it backfire and fuck you up, well, then that's on you, because you knew. I can trust myself. You know what I'm saying? Going through those experiences and stuff with women, I can trust myself now that I have that instinctual feeling, and I know that I'm right. And it doesn't matter how anyone feels about it, because they're not me. You know what I'm saying? And so, just like my husband would tell me, like I would vouch for people hard all day. I'm like, no, you got this wrong. You're totally wrong about the situation. And you know what I'm saying? And they be like, no, 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 and no. And and I will always hold on to where I don't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a woman friend of mine and you're in my life and I talk to you, kick it with you, whatever, that means a lot to me. I trust you in some type of aspect because all of my bridges have been burnt by women. I like them around, but I don't need them around. You know what I mean? And especially that I have developed my gift and stuff like that. I'm trying to tell you, and I see it in men too. You know what I'm saying? It's not just women. I see it in men too. Because now I've been ostracized and criticized and hurt the most by women. But we're not gonna just act like the brothers is not in my life. You know what I'm saying? Some of my children's fathers. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been through some stuff. Ex-boyfriends. Thought I was cool with this nigga. Boom, nope, you a hoe. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not just women, it's men too. But we were just talking about that aspect. She was like, as I've journeyed through my career, being in social justice work, doing a numerous of things, you know what I'm saying? It was the women, you know what I'm saying, that have, caused a lot of, hurt and, trying to hold her back in situations and stuff like that. And I remember one happening during the Breonna Taylor, and she stood her ground and she stood it so well. Big out to Keisha Dorsey for standing her ground so well. Do not let people bully you or push you around or feel like they could talk against you or make you look like something different in another light. You shut that shit down immediately, So I'm proud of both of those sisters. Hey! I'm proud of both of them for, self-defense. You know what I'm saying? And self-defense don't always have to come with some fists. It has integrity and it's strategic and it's thought out through the mind. You know what I mean? So again, I wanted to talk about that conversation because I'm going to lead into healing more ancestral trauma. So when I was sitting there, I started to notice because, you have to check out my first video, Healing Ancestral Trauma. And yes, go there because I'm not going to explain everything on that video here because that's about an hour dialogue and I don't want to have, that on this side. So please check out the first one. I teach you how to do it. Okay, healing ancestral traumas. But here I want to talk about expectations and what you should be careful for. Now, as we're on this spiritual journey, a lot of us, pour libation. A lot of us give honor to our ancestors. If you're not going to heal your ancestral line first, be leery of this. So let's say you call on great grandmother, grandmother, or whoever, even your father, that's passed away, and you always go to them for spiritual guidance. So, because when you call on the ancestors, you're calling them out within inside of yourself. They're already there. You're just calling them out. Without healing that ancestral trauma part, you're gonna call on them, and they'll be with you. But guess what? Now that you've called on them and they are within you, and you haven't cleansed their end, you're gonna find yourself being in stumbling blocks. Because see, some stuff is us. We make choices. For every action is a reaction. You choose to make this move, well, then this move is gonna come with it, right? That's basic. But you're walking life, and then if you're on a spiritual journey and you're calling in ancestors and you haven't, especially blood related ones, we're not talking about history and legacy of ancestors, right? We're talking about the blood related ones. So when you take those blood related ancestors and you haven't cleared out that trauma before you call on them, expect blockages, hardships. Now, you'll say to yourself, why do I keep going through this? What's going on? I thought my ancestors was here with me. I know they're here with me, because you don't want to give up. So, because you'll be like, even though I'm going through this, my ancestors still got me. Okay. But they might not have left this plane healed. And you want to figure out what those generational curses are, those secrets that were of the family and nobody ever shared them, and so the family is clueless to what it is. When you hit those blockages and those hard times and you feel defeated, those are those traumas. Your family, because they was like, how people say pass down. So just imagine what's going on in your life right now, because what makes me say that, Shamika said, she said to her parents one day, man, what was y'all going through to why I'm going through is, why am I getting hit with this temper? And she's right. You know what I'm saying? She's absolutely right. Sometimes you be going through stuff and you feel like, what did I do wrong? And it's not about what you did wrong. It's your lineage. You know what I'm saying? So we want to heal those things because, me growing up, I could have probably, if I was raised in spirituality and not religion, I could have probably dodged a whole bunch of bullets. You understand? With the information and what I know now, oh man, I could have probably on the top of the world right now, but it wouldn't have failed right. You know what I'm saying? So we want to make sure we have this information so when we pass it to our children, so when our children hit them blocks, oh, they feel defeated, well, you want to teach them the practice of healing ancestral traumas, but it's that chosen one, somebody like myself, and somebody who's going to actually do this process. Because there's spiritual people that will bypass this process. They will, and that's fine too. You know what I'm saying? Maybe your child will be the one to clear it up. But once you do it, you're going to see your child is not going to face half of the things that you went through or whatever, because you've done the work. Not just the work of making sure your credit's good, your money is right, savings, make sure you buy this type of land, whatever. So when my child, becomes of age, I got something to give to him. That's basic 3D stuff. And you can have all of that set on the side for them, and they still go through the same thing you went through. You feel me? So just because you're getting the material side together, the spiritual side isn't. So the ones who do the actual work that I'm telling them to do, your children won't endure those curses. Okay? Or they'll repeat it. And not saying their situation will be yours, you know what I'm saying? But it'll look the same. It'll look the same. It will. And so that was my goal of cleaning up my ancestral line. And I still have more to do because, like I said, you have to continually cleanse them. Like you have to continually get you together. You put them together too. And it's a lot of work. It is. It's a lot of work. But it's a great payoff because you'll start to see your life change to where it's like, I don't really have a career in the world. I don't really, all that struggling mentality or whatever things that you're thinking, you're like, those things don't even exist to me. And it'd be real live. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm straight. Like super straight. Not, I got $1 billion in the bank account straight, but that's exactly what this feels like. I know what it's like to be a millionaire. And it feels like this. You know what I mean? So, long story short, I wanted to say that. So go to the first video. I show you the process, but this is what to expect on the process once you start to put it into work. Once you started to put it into work, you're going to feel huge releases. Without it, without clearing them up and still being on the spiritual doing it and whatever, expect you're going to keep getting roadblocks. You're going to keep hitting roadblocks. It's always going to be something. We're not talking about 3D stuff. Oh, the mail came late. Oh, my car broke down. Oh, even if you got in a car wreck, they don't have nothing to do. Accidents happen every day. You know what I'm saying? Not 3D blockages. It's going to be very hard for you to get into position the way that you want to without doing this process. It's going to feel like you had, all my life, I had to fight. You feel what I'm saying? You're going, by the time you make it to the promised land, you're gonna feel like you had to fight to be here. You're gonna feel like you beat the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? And like you finally get your flowers and you be like, but damn, I'm tired. We want to enjoy our glory years. We don't want to be tired. But what we're missing is healing our ancestral trauma. And and a lot of people say, how do we stop the curses? And you feel like you're supposed to do it 3D. Well, when I raise my children, I'm gonna make sure I protect them in this way. Or I'm gonna make sure they go to this type of proper school. And I'm gonna make sure you do all of that, and they're still going to face the roughest challenges, but they don't have to. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have challenges across the board, but wouldn't you like some great challenges? Like, oh, that's the challenge? Oh, that's easy. Just like how some kids go to school very smart. They look at the test and be like, and pass it with flying colors. That's how you want your children to pass the test, with flying colors. Flying colors. Not getting peer pressured in, already a little, you see what I'm saying? You know, we do it better by actually doing the work. And yes, the 3D work is good too. Making sure your home is environment, all of those things are straight. Do those things. Yes, yes, yes. But doing the back end work, which is the spiritual work, the real healing work. So when we talk about our ancestors and we love them and we call on them, and I know they fight, they securing me and setting up the doors before I even get there so I can just boom, walk straight through them. Before they do all that happens, before your ancestors are that powerful to do that, and we're talking about your bloodline. We're not talking about Malcolm X. We're not talking about Muhammad Ali and them. You know what I'm saying? Not them ancestors. Your blood ancestors. My blood ancestors open up the door, work the situation out. So when I get to the door, all I got to do is open it, and it's heaven when I walk in the room. You feel me? My blood ancestors. I love Huey and the rest of them. They now are part of my bloodline. They are part of the descendants. You know what I'm saying? We're all African descendants. We are one big family, but there's many bloodlines. Okay, I'm talking about your bloodline. I'm not talking about anything else. If you're not going to deal with your bloodline, that is the curse on your children. Those are the generational curses that keep happening. And see, and this is what society is not talking about. They're not putting in this perspective. They want to come up with programs and ideas and how to strengthen families. And those things are great in the 3D. But that doesn't stop your child from meeting, and you can do them all that inside the house, just like me, and then step down the world and meeting women like this and men like that and jobs like this, and that challenge come, and I can't just check it off and pass that test like that. I gotta go down there and do it. Okay, we want to break that curse, making our children go all the way deep down through it. You know, because it don't even have to happen when they children. It could be when they 30. I thought I had a great life outside of bullying and all that weird shit. By the time I started clicking up with people that I really liked and loved, that was weird. I did great, and then New York was the test that I couldn't pass. hmm It knocked me into spirituality. It knocked me. That was the call. I was a casualty. There's casualties called and chosen. That knocked me into my calling, and I picked it up, and that's why I'm chosen. And you're not gonna be able to skip phases. You know, everybody won't be chosen, but nobody even wants to answer the call. And the call is liberating, breaking the psychological locks of your mind so that you can receive information like this and do the work and understand and not piggyback or stay in a cognitive dissonance thing, because you're still gung-ho on those same ancestors and same ancestral influences that your family and ancestors was tricked in to believe, and we all wonder why we have these generational curses. But you have to break that curse. You have to come to the other side of spirituality. There's no way around it. You're not gonna break curses religiously. I'm sorry. And I tell people all the time, I don't come here to debate your God and your Jesus and your Allahs and the Most Highs and Yahwehs. And okay, you're gonna keep having those rough times until you answer the call. And it's hard. Because like I said, there's 70% of us that are called. So the casualties is a small portion. So we do our children a disservice, because we were asking, if you had a superpower, what would it be? Well, I know my superpowers, but one thing I wish I could do, if I wish my superpower would be, you start talking, you say something, I do this, and I open your third eye and you become enlightened. If I had a fucking superpower, I would catch people in conversations, and then they just wake up. Wouldn't that be dope? Bruh, I had the whole world on fire, you hear me? We shut the whole world down. That's the calling, is into enlightenment, so you can get to this spiritual end. You're not gonna do it through Jesus, just calming down. I don't know why people do that, but so as I'm saying, as you advance forward into this, make sure you clear your ancestral bloodline. So go back to my first video and watch that. But the second one is the expectation. Expect when you have those hits, those bumps in the roads, those blockages, is because you haven't cleared that out. Not issues you go through. Yes, heal yourself. That's why I said spirituality is a lot of work. It's, people think it's fun and feathers and, kumbayas and a whole bunch of meditations. It's no. This is work, like real life work. So expect that when you're like, dang, I'm doing everything right. My ancestors this, spirituality that. I'm doing my meditations and it's still this. What the hell? Well, go and do the work of healing your ancestors, or you're gonna pick up their traumas and you're gonna still carry them. So you can call on them and they'll be right there, they'll be present and they'll help you through, but you're making your journey even harder because now you're carrying their weight. I don't want to carry the weight of my ancestors. I want them to back me up. I want them to be in the front and on the side, but I don't want to carry their weight. I don't want to do that. That's why people that still vibrate racism and anger, and I don't want to live 1960. Y'all want to y'all live it. I don't want to live that. I don't. Who wants to live in that type of world? I don't want my children to live in that type of world. So I don't vibrate in those spaces because I took the time to ask anybody that knows me. I couldn't stand white people. I hope they all died. I was a mean, ill, bit nasty. Because a part of enlightenment is learning the truth, and that's the first phase of anger, rage, and what was so beautiful about me, I feel like the chosen people that were around me knew I had a calling on my life. And so they immediately would grab me up. And these are people I've never met. This was internet. They, like in 2015, they took my whole page away. I no pictures. When I had to say I started from scratch, and that messed up my frequency because I was around a lot of powerful energy. I was making connections and everything. And oh my God, it just got disrupted. I don't even want to talk about that process. But anywho, what was I saying? Broke my energy, shut the Facebook page down. Yes, I was around people that knew I was a chosen being. But they were like, one more piece, one more piece, one more piece, and so to keep me out of that angry mode, all they kept doing was giving me information. They was feeding me. You know what I'm saying? That's how I got fed. And quite naturally, as I went on, you know what I'm saying, I started to heal from all of that anger. You know what I'm saying? Until where I redirected my anger, it was no longer anger, it was passion. So when people hear me speak, when I get up on a mic and I start talking, it comes from a place of passion. It's not a place of anger. I transmuted that energy some time ago to where now when I speak, I ain't really got much to say. I really don't have much to say anymore. Unless it's in like space like it's full of cards talk to you like that. But I really don't have anything to say anymore because, I've surpassed that, and I really don't want to go back. So now when I have a conversation, it's going to sound a little bit differently. And it's really gung-ho on the solutions, how to keep Black people engaged, how to get them to be more enlightened, how to get them to smile more, stop calling everything a mental health issue when it's just basically a small, simple step that we're just forgetting to take. And if I have any anger about anything, is that my people are in bondage in these things called churches. And so it's very hard for them to break those generational curses or to be spiritually awaken is because they're being led by people that they admire and that they love with these great what do you call them, motivational speeches. But those motivational speeches is not teaching them how to do the work, and so they become lazy, independent, and reliant on a sermon that makes them feel better. It's a band-aid, and they still go back home in the same dysfunction, in the same hurt, the same situations over and over and over again. It's not a, it's a band-aid. Everybody needs a good word sometimes, don't we all? But that's not a solution. It's to feel good. How do you feel good and stay that way? How is every day feeling good for you? How does it feel to not have all the chaos and drama that you used to have around you, and it never comes back in, and it can't get in? How does that happen? And that's not by faith or praying. It's actually doing the work, and we're missing that because you're not going to be able to do that type of work without spirituality. And I'm sorry. And that's why the nation looks the way that it does. So when the Black Panthers present something like the Eugenia Healing Center, these are the things that we're bringing to community. Asada Shakur said, the only thing we have to lose is our chains. And that's the chains of the mind. I am the great liberator. And one of the things that I'm here to liberate is consciousness. My life will never be the same. And I like that because I did the work. So let's pull some some cards ready, some advice before we leave. I'm only going to do 3 cards. Three cards of spirit of advice. Healing ancestral trauma. Where's the advice? Where's the advice they have for my people? We get that together. All right. Up, and it's a full moon. I told y'all, you're going to reap everything that you want. That abundant life, you want that freedom, you want that liberation, you really want that peace. Look at these 3 cards. Reconnect with spirit. It's a full moon, ain't it? Shango, take action. I just told y'all this. I literally just told y'all this. Reconnect with your spirit. This is a full moon. This is a good time. Write down things, release. Go listen to part 1. Go listen to Heal Your Ancestral Trauma, part 1 on my channel. Do that underneath this full moon. Do that underneath this full moon. I'm not going to say it here. Go watch the video. Do that while we're underneath this full moon. It's coming up. That is the taking action. All right? Okay? That is the calling. Right? That's that Shango energy. You want to look with his iron, what do you call them? Sticks. They're not sticks. You know what I'm trying to call them. I can't see it. Say it. Just right here in my face. Right? I'm going to break. I'm talking about breaking curses. This is the action that you're going to have to take. I always start singing that. Your ancestors. This is literally everything I was just saying. You're going to have to go within. You're going to have to reconnect with spirit. You're going to have to do spirit work. You're going to have to take them actions from part 1. Okay? And here's your ancestors, this bloodline. And once you do that, there's the promised land. You're not going to make it to the promised land without going to the spiritual realm. Y'all not there. Get there. It's over there. Can't bypass the steps. You don't want to. Because then your children are going to repeat it. And that's what happens. If you look at the pattern, look at the pattern of your family. Look at your mom and your dad. Let's say it. You don't see you and them. You know what I'm saying? Some of us, yes, we do better than our parents, and yes, that's good. You're supposed to be better than your parents. But even as you grow up, like I said, stuff don't happen to happen to you in your childhood. You can turn fucking 30, 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? And being like, what the hell? So like what I was saying, like when Shamika was like, she was told her parents like, what did y'all do to why I'm going through all this? Like, what? That was a true statement. What did they do? They didn't connect with their ancestors spiritually and break those curses. Everybody, you can't break generational curses in a 3D form. You have to do it in a spiritual realm. You have to go clear your bloodline. If you're not going to do that, don't talk about spirituality. Don't bring none of that up. Don't do it. Don't. Just don't even have community conversations. How do we stop the curses? And that's why it's never been done. And that's why the generations keep getting worse and worse. See the children now, see the youth now, see the conditions now, because we say that and we think that we're supposed to make sure that yes, make sure your house is clean, make sure you got food on the table, make sure you got your kids in a good school, good programs. That's 3D dimensional. And you can do all of that just like my parents did. They did all of that. And look at all the shit that I had to go through just to be here. Had I had the information that I had now when I was a child, I'd be no telling where I would be. I wouldn't be here. I'd be in a better position. It's in the spiritual realm. You see what I'm saying? And this is what you give the children. And that's why I say I don't have nothing to say anymore. My whole strategy is, how do I get my people out of the church? They're in bondage. How can I do that when their trust is not with me? Remember, just do it. You have to meet people where they're at. When we talk about the Bible and stuff, what did they say? Jesus wasn't in the temple. He was outside. That's what I'm saying. I mean, y'all don't even listen to the stuff that y'all read. So get out of there. How do I do that? As a revolutionary, how do I do that? And that's what I constantly am at right now. I don't care about racism. I don't care about police brutality. I don't care about that. I'm like, how am I going to get my people out of that building? So that's my strategy. Because we're not going to be able to break this curse with y'all in there. So that's what I think about. Listen to part 1. Do those steps. And those are the expectations. These are things that you expect if you miss that step. The blockages, the hardships, the like, dang, why did I get right here? Because you can get to a place in spirituality like I did, and then that's when I was like, oh, now I gotta go now I heal the bloodline. But I had to go through some stuff first to where it's like, boom, now is the perfect time. Boom, let me go in, heal the ancestors. Boom, bring it back on the other side. To where I live in a place of bliss. I haven't had stress in a very, very long time, except for that damn Black Power week. Now that shit was just, but even still, I was Professor Kaba, Bobby Blair, all of them, they were my riders. They were coaching me through the whole thing. They was like, you need to calm down. The only reason why you feel some way is because it's happening to you, but nothing's happening. It's just all in your head. And I was like, y'all crazy. See? But anywho, you are one of a kind. Good as a slice of pie. Wasn't this all delightful?